from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching the Wrestling Republic daily broadcast. On a day where the Scottish psychopath will be taking on the already likely drunken Celtic warrior on St. Patrick's Day for a chance to face the ring general at the greatest spectacle in sports entertainment. We also found that an MMA legend could be heading to WrestleMania weekend. But that's enough about Shibata. Conor McGregor is rumored to be there too. Joining me today to talk about all of this, we have Clark Taylor and Anthony Ricciardi. How are you first, Clark?
I'm doing super well, and I'm excited to talk about Shibata, of course, but love to anytime I can get on Conor McGregor's case. I love to, and I don't know what he's going to do in WWE unless they match him up with a cruiserweight with his little size. I don't care how much muscle he's put on, moving up to 170 to fight Michael Chandler. At WrestleMania, he's going to look little next to every WWE superstar, and I can't wait to see it.
How are you then, Anthony? I've heard you got WWE 2K23 the last couple of days. Have you had much of a chance to play on that?
I haven't had a chance to play it a lot, but I do like what I see so far. It's definitely a smoother experience. But again, I haven't played it as much as I wanted to so far.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to play that when I do get the chance, probably after WrestleMania, because WrestleMania season is a very, very busy time here. And it's about, I think it's 10 days now before I fly out to Los Angeles, and I am so hyped. We're going to have so much coverage for you guys here over at Wrestling Republic. But let's first get on to the topic, which I know Clark is just dying to talk about, and that is Conor McGregor possibly coming to WWE. Now, for those of you guys who don't know what's currently going on with this situation, Conor McGregor the other day was a guest on the Ariel Helwani show, and after the show, he did a photo shoot with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and Ariel Helwani tweeted out, "Next stop, Mania, ? Which, could just be Ariel teasing. No big deal, really. However, then WWE retweeted it with the eyeball emoji, and then Paul Heyman responded to the WWE tweet saying, Conor McGregor would get smashed, just like anyone else who dares to oppose the hashtag tribal chief at Roman Reigns. So, yeah, they're clearly teasing something with Conor McGregor here. McGregor is clearly teasing something too. Now, of course, we know he's got that fight coming up in UFC once he's finished filming the latest Ultimate Fighter series. But after that, could a WWE run be possible? Or even during it, could a WWE run be possible? Because there's a lot of controversy over when the fights can actually take place in UFC because of the drug testing pool and all that type of stuff. There's a lot of controversy going on about it right now, so perhaps it could even be before the fight. But let's head over to our mixed martial arts expert, Clark Taylor. What's your thoughts on all of this?
Conor is one of those guys that, of course, as a huge MMA fan, I respect what he's done in the sport. And I think there's been enough poetic justice getting choked out by Nate Diaz and having the leg broken and getting knocked out by Poirier back to back. I think he's good for not only combat sports as a whole, but the UFC. Boxing he was great for. He'll be great for WWE. I think it's very logical. In that same Ariel interview, he mentioned actually that he'll be fighting Michael Chandler at 170 pounds. That's baffling to me. Why he believes he's bulked up enough at 5'9" and a 74-inch reach to challenge for the welterweight title, I can't fathom. Unless Rocky beats Usman on Saturday. If Leon Edwards beats Kamaru Usman, a lefty on lefty, a southpaw versus southpaw kickboxing match is about the only chance. Similarly to Pereira, who just beat Israel Adesanya for the 185-pound title. It's about the only matchup that makes any sense for Conor to be able to win at 170 pounds. So pending the results of that, and he mentioned in the same interview that he would be likely at the fight in London. And he thinks if he beats Michael Chandler at 170 pounds, despite neither of them being ranked in that division, both of them being true 155 pounders, he believes that he would be next in line for a 170-pound title shot. Now, that being said, if Conor is going to have a WWE run, what makes more sense than the famous line, nobody can take that left-hand shot? I would imagine to the WWE crossover crowd, despite all the controversy surrounding him, he's a babyface and he'd be cheered. And maybe if he lands that left-hand shot in support of Rollins in a little spot at Mania on one Logan Paul, the fallout from that, eyeballs from that on social media would be so electric. I think that's how you start a run for Conor McGregor if you are going to have one in the WWE. That'd be the way to start it.
Sorry, muted. The question that I have in response to that, though, is wouldn't that lead to McGregor versus Logan Paul, celebrity versus celebrity? I mean, that would bring a lot of eyes to WWE, but at the same time, again, it's not involving any actual professional wrestlers. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it would be a situation where logically Logan Paul, maybe The Miz again, probably not The Miz, probably find another wrestler, but The Miz would make perfect sense filling in there. And then you pair Conor with Seth Rollins because I don't believe Conor has enough time to have a one-on-one match anyway. So you're setting up a rivalry between him and Logan Paul and teasing the idea of maybe a Conor and Jake boxing down the road, teasing things like that. Yeah. Just keeping that in the back of everyone's minds, having them cross paths. But then you pair them each with a trained, true, week-to-week professional wrestler, one being Seth Rollins. I think The Miz is a logical slide in for the other side. Even though obviously we saw the turn between Miz and Logan, maybe they reunite, right? Who knows? That to me, I could see, especially with how many similarities there were between both Becky and Seth's character to Conor. Conor with the wild suits, the wild clothes, the chains, the jewelry, the shoes, the designer stuff, the inflated ego while still being cheered and still being, generally speaking, to the fans of babyface. He's never been one in my eyes, Conor, that is. But, that kind of all adds up. And maybe if there's a way that Logan has a leg up and the crowd's nervous about it and Conor can land that left hand during that match to set up for the stomp would be kind of I think that would be a cool way to get him into the mix, to introduce him to, just give him a taste, get his feet wet, for lack of a better term.
Absolutely. And you mentioned a possible, pairing them Seth and The Miz or something like that. I mean, that would be the way to do it if you are going to do celebrity versus celebrity. I mean, it was very reminiscent of WCW Rodman versus, it was Hogan Rodman versus
Rodman versus Karl Malone.
Karl Malone, that's it.
Yes.
And I mean, that worked. That brought in a lot of money for WCW. So I mean, a similar thing perhaps could work. But
they turned it around and did the same thing with Jay Leno as well. And they used Eric Bischoff on the other side of that one. But Leno worked as well to an extent.
Yeah.
And not to interrupt, sorry, but
Anthony, what are your thoughts on Conor McGregor? Would you like to see him in WWE? Do you think that it would be a good idea?
I don't know. I don't really follow MMA. I know of him. I would trust Clark in that sense. I mean, I know he's got a big mouth. So, I mean, obviously personality wise, it may work. I don't know with the height and whether or not he'd be able to hang in WWE as far as, in the ring, how committed he is to it. I don't know. Like, if they brought him in for a one-off, okay, maybe. But is he going to do a series of matches? Probably not. Probably not likely. I don't think.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the one thing I would add too, just for you, Anthony, just for reference, size-wise, he'd be about comparable to Chad Gable. About the exact same size as Chad Gable, but with longer arms, but similar in weight and height. That would be size-wise. That's where kind of Conor's at. And then what was the other one that I wanted to add? The one thing I will say in his defense, though, is he does hold basically every record for pay-per-view numbers in the history of mixed martial arts. And ironically, him and Mayweather, top 10 all time in boxing pay-per-view buys. So to have both of those, if you throw them in the WWE mix, because Ronda Rousey is one of the only other ones you could put on that list, and she didn't do the same crossover wise in boxing, but because she didn't box, but the idea being you put Conor McGregor on a billboard and people buy pay-per-views. They just do. There's something about it. They just buy.
I mean, I don't know if you're watching the show the other day, Clark, but I gave you a major shout out when we were talking about Lesnar possibly going back to the UFC over the fact that that's why they want to do John Jones.
And now I'm actually hearing right now that the big rumor on Brock is one championship over in Asia, him and Francis Ngannou, and put the full promotional efforts behind it. And that is what I heard this morning on MMA Radio. I got to give a shout out to Dean Thomas. That's who said it first. But man, would that be explosive? Man, would that be explosive?
Sure.
Yeah,
that would be a big FU to UFC for certain. But we got a few comments coming in here. We got Soul in the comments saying 10 days until he travels to WrestleMania for his haircut. Of course, Soul lost the prediction the other day. Jeff Jarrett lost, which means Soul has to have his head shaved.
Cheers, Soul.
Now, despite what Saul wants you to think, he's not traveling to LA to, one, go to Ring of Honor, and two, get his haircut. He's going for WrestleMania, but those two things are also going to be happening.
Well, and let's give Soul a little bit of credit too. We're donating the hair. It's charitable. It's very cool. Yeah, it's. I don't know if that Soul's a great sport about it. Soul is a great sport about it. I don't know if that announcement had come out yet, but yeah. Should we make it official right now then? I mean, well, so. I'm looking into the two different places that we can kind of go to locally to which one makes the most sense, given also his hair length. So I don't know if we can like officially announce which charity, but the answer is yes. Yeah. The plan is to probably Thursday morning of WrestleMania week go in there and we'll film some content or whatever, right? And of him getting his head shaved and then donate the hair, obviously for someone who needs it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And we got Jacob in the comments from our UFC group who's saying mullet or nothing. But anyway, guys, let's now move on to our second topic of the day. And let's talk about a real MMA legend. I'm only joking, Conor McGregor fans. Calm down. But Katsuyori Shibata, will he be at WrestleMania weekend for Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor? Because the Ring of Honor Pure Champion Wheeler Yuta has issued a challenge to him. This happened on RH TV last night. And I mean, I did not see this coming, to be honest with you. But man, oh man, am I excited for it. Shibata is my favorite Japanese wrestler of all time. I'm going to be at the RH show. All of us are going to be at the RH show. And it will be an absolute blast to see him live. That's going to be the highlight for me if he does indeed accept the challenge, which you've got to presume he will. And of course, that's Friday afternoon. I mean, the entire ROH Supercard of Honor card is looking like absolutely amazing. It truly is. And I was about 50-50, to be honest, on if I wanted to go. And now I'm glad I've gone. I've been watching the weekly show, and I don't really know what to think of it. It's decent, and the match lengths aren't as bad as I thought they'd be. Right, it's okay, but it's like another 2-hour show, and especially 2-hour show, which a lot of it doesn't have too much substance. It's just too long. It truly is, in my opinion. But I am just so excited to see Shibata versus Yuta, and hopefully this pay-per-view delivers, because for the long-term success of Ring of Honor, they are going to need pay-per-view buys. It's absolutely critical for them. Anthony, are you excited for this match? Do you think that this pay-per-view could, be a big success for Ring of Honor?
I mean, hopefully it is. I've always liked Shibata. That was one of the few Japanese talents from New Japan that I kind of really liked. When I don't watch a lot of New Japan, but when I did, it was Shibata, Ishii, and probably Ospreay is probably the main reasons why I was watching. And then when Shibata got injured a few years ago, I didn't think he would ever wrestle again, and I questioned why would he, considering the severe injury that he had. So to be there to witness a Shibata match live was not something I ever anticipated, especially after his injury.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is. Like, I mean, he's not even properly returned in Japan yet. He's had a couple of exhibition type matches, one in which he kind of went off the script and actually had a match when he wasn't meant to, which was it's still wild. I mean, I think that story almost didn't get enough coverage. The fact that at Wrestle Kingdom he went off script. They told him, you can do an exhibition match, no strikes. He went out, they grabbed the mic, said it was a real match, and then they did a real match. It was like, what? But that was absolutely wild to me. But Clark, are you excited to see Shibata in action? And do you think this could be a
super excited? And I think there's no better way to bring him in and have a match than with Wheeler Yuta in under this pure rules concept too, because number one, it fits him stylistically. Number two, it's just going to be a banger of a match. It's a way to put Yuta in a spot to actually show what he's really good at too. And nobody can bring that out of him better than Shibata, especially if he's at his finest. Am I stoked to see it? Of course. I'm double stoked because it's at the Galen Center at USC, which is going to be our first chance that week. Friday afternoon, we can go to downtown, right across the street from Crypto Arena. It's right under the freeway overpass. It's right there. We can go look around downtown, see Crypto before Raw and all of that. And there's going to be tons of action downtown. Obviously, the night before the New Japan show is right across the street. There's autograph signings and all of that in the hotels in the downtown area. I'm excited for before the show, during the show, and after the show. No question for ROH. I'm really, really, really glad we made the decision to go to the show.
Absolutely. And talking about shows, we'll be doing a show after that as well, giving our thoughts on it. I mean, the daily broadcast Mania weekend, I mean, it's going to be hectic. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, the times might be a little inconsistent. You might have to keep an eye on the Instagram story because of how busy the schedule will be. But we will certainly be doing a show every day as per usual. And we're going to be together in person. It is going to be sick. And we are all very, very excited for it. Sorry, somebody is calling me while on the show. But you think 8 p.m. every day. I think they'd get the hint by now, but whatever. And Saul in the comments is saying, told you idiots we should go see ROH.
Well, I'm not an idiot. I just had your back. Now I take it back. I'm less excited than I was before, Saul.
Saul, if you're always right, why didn't Jeff win?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. You're not always right.
Bald soul.
If Saul's always right, why did he come last in the AEW pub quiz last
week? That was too. It's been a rough week for him. I mean, in all honesty, it's
shave him bald. Shave him bald. By the way, Saul gave me crap about my hats
gimmick
when he first found out I was bald, and I cannot wait to see him with just a nice, clean dome. I think we go all the way down to no guard. No nothing, and then Bick too afterwards. Shaving cream. I'm talking Stone Cold Steve Austin, just the full globe too. Like shine it up, wax it up. Oh yeah, can't wait, Soul. That is going to be a blast.
Turtle wax.
Yeah, we wax it like the hood of a car.
We'll wax his hair.
Yeah, no, his head, just his bald head, no hair.
Fair.
We're going straight razor after the buzz.
Oh gosh,
maybe eyebrows too. I'm kidding.
Nah, we got to do that now.
If we could donate those,
but whenever the charity doesn't want,
he has to go back to his job. By the way, we can't actually shave his eyebrows. To be clear, that was a joke.
What we can
clear,
what we can do is wax Clark's legs.
No, I won the bet. So. No, that's for later. You guys got to beat me in a bet.
We need to do another bet, and
you got to beat me, the gambler. You got to. I'll put that on the line again, but you got to win. You got to win. You got to win to get the prize.
It would be funny if Soul makes a gamble every week and loses.
That would be good. Just goes on like a big losing streak.
Yeah, Corbin. Well, like Corbin,
we have a hairless Soul by the end of the. He's like a naked mole rat.
So
by the end of the,
like Kane, when Kane lost the mask and shaved everything.
So you need to put your eyebrows on the line now. Eyebrows versus Clark's legs.
Yeah, eyebrows for sure.
Eyebrows versus legs. Oh no, Soul saying Clark's legs versus my legs.
That's fair.
Okay. We can do that.
That's fine.
I don't know what the bet's about yet, but we'll figure something in the next week.
Down the line.
Maybe that's something for the pub quiz episode on Sunday. But yeah, let's get now into our next topic of the day, which is previewing tonight's episode of Friday Night SmackDown, where Drew McIntyre will be taking on Sheamus on St. Patrick's Day. So it's incredibly likely Sheamus will be, I was going to say a little bit tipsy, probably completely off his head by then. But the winner of it will get an Intercontinental Championship shot against Gunther at WrestleMania in 15 days' time. So that is going to be very interesting. I mean, a lot of us are presuming this is probably going to go to a draw. It's the logical outcome, the only logical ending, really. But how are they going to do this? I would have said Gunther or Imperium take them out, apart from they made it clear last week that they only wanted to face one person at Mania, which is why this match was booked. So that takes that off the table. So unless they just go completely nuts and it's a double count out or a double knockout even, something like that. I mean, those are a few different cool possible options. But Clark, what are your thoughts and what are your predictions for this match?
You tossed it to me, and I had the perfect take on double knockout. I'm thinking Claymore Brogue lands at the exact same time. The exact same time. And if two people could time it perfectly on a day like St. Patty's, it's McIntyre and Sheamus. We know they could. We know they have it in them. And I think it'd be a really cool spot. I think it's the way to do it. I honestly think there's a scenario where it'd be really cool, actually, instead of double count out, if they landed at the same time and then each got an arm over each other. They both landed on their backs with their shoulders down and then each got an arm over each other. And then what do you do? And they're both out. I would love that spot. That's the way I would book it because I think the triple threat's the way to go. Let's just get these three big sluggers in the ring at the same time and hear the sound. That's all I want at Mania, and that's what I'm still hoping for. And so, yeah, I like double knockout as much as I like double count out.
Truthfully, this match might be the one I'm most hyped for on the card once this is made official, because like you said, the sound is going to be. When I was there for Sheamus versus Gunther, so to be there now for the triple threat.
It's funny because I got to give a shout out before we toss it to Anthony. I'm sorry, I got to give a shout out to All Out 21, since I brought it up earlier. Eddie Kingston and Miro put on a sound match for the ages. The chops and the stiffness in that match sitting ringside was something that was otherworldly. You put those three in the ring and I'm in the building, I can't even fathom. That's like, let's turn it up to the Donkey Kong level. Yeah, no, sorry. Anthony, it's your time.
I agree with you, Clark. I think a double knockout probably is the safest option, whether it's a leg on, maybe a leg on each other. I'm just trying to think visually the way they would hit. I don't know how they would do it. I think that's a possibility. I don't necessarily think an Imperium interference is completely off the books. Technically, they're heels. So what's it for them to lie and go, we're not getting involved, and take them both out? I mean, I think we all pretty much are of the mindset it's probably going to be a triple threat at Mania. Likely, I mean, Sheamus it's the one title Sheamus is missing. I'd be curious to see whether or not they throw in some, nonsense like a, St. Patty's Day pub brawl or something into this, or they're going to just do it straight up, Sheamus and Drew.
I kind of wouldn't mind seeing that, a gimmick match in St. Patrick's Day.
I'm just thinking, to me, I could see them doing it. I don't know if they will. I think there'll be a gimmick match, whether or not it's the two of them. I only think it would be the two of them only because of Sheamus.
Yeah. I mean, that I don't usually like the gimmick matches they do for special occasions, but this one makes sense as well. Yeah. These two in a bar, Scottish, Irish, it would make sense. We of course know the wrestling public, Scott of the group Soul, enjoys a bar, and I really, it is the stereotype. Scottish and Irish people love bars, right?
So do Americans, by the way. I add me to that mix. I love bars.
My entire dad's family love it as well. That they're Scottish, and it's just very true. Who can drink each other? Maybe that's the match.
Ben, do you just want to confirm that I know one website insists that we're Scottish owned, we're not. Can you confirm that?
we're not Scottish owned Wrestling Inc. We're not. No. I mean,
We've
technically,
got Scottish people.
we got a Scottish person. We got a Welsh
Just the
person.
one.
We've got
who has hair now, but won't have it in 2 weeks' time. But
California.
still.
Did we just lose Japan? Woof. I'm kidding. Shout out Suki. Miss you, buddy.
it's me getting that fine laps through the Lions of the Republic out. But
I had to get that.
I mean, yeah, but yeah, it certainly is. We're not a Scottish-based website, so yeah. I don't know where that came from, but we will now move on.
This seemed like the ideal time to address it. I mean, we joke about it all the time, but this seemed like an opportune time for me to bring it up.
We glad we cleared that up, by the way.
Yeah. Somebody's at wrestling on Twitter, but
that was actually a really funny segment there.
But let's move on. Let's move on. Before they block us on Twitter. But
oh, that'll be a shame.
Don't know what we do. But anyway, talking about I was gonna link it in with somebody blocking people on Twitter, but none of the names on SmackDown tonight tend to block people on Twitter, so that's unfortunate. Waste of a good transition. But anyway, Sami Zayn will be confronting Jey Uso tonight because, of course, Jey Uso turned on him not this past Monday, the week before, on Raw in what was a hell of a heel turn. I've already spoken about it already. I absolutely loved it. And yeah, today Sami Zayn's going to confront Jey Uso. I don't know if it's going to be a face-to-face. They haven't said yet. But it'll be an interesting one for sure, and I'm certainly very excited for this segment to happen. Anthony, do you have any predictions or thoughts of which way they could go about it from this segment?
I mean, there's always been mystery with this whole bloodline thing, where it's going. I'm curious to see where they go with it. I don't think Sammy and KO are going to, do their kumbaya right now. I think it's probably going to be next week or possibly the last Raw before Mania is when it kind of gets set up. But I wouldn't be surprised if Sammy's left laying from the Usos, and whether or not Solo Sikoa is in there too. But I do think the Usos are probably going to take Sammy out tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, I certainly do hope that. I mean, actually, something I want to come back to, Anthony, because you weren't on the other day when we were talking about this. When do you want this match to be announced in terms of Kevin Owens, takes into Sammy? Okay, fine, we'll do the match. When do you want that to happen? Do you want it to happen right before Mania? Or do you want it to happen ideally like this week or Monday even?
Honestly, if it was any other event other than WrestleMania, if it was any other story that didn't have enough heat behind it, I would say, you need to announce it early to hype up the show. It's Mania. Mania sells itself just by the fact that it's Mania. There's anticipation for this match. Everyone assumes it's happening, just like last year where everyone assumed it was Cody and Seth, and Cody didn't have to be there until he actually showed up. So realistically, I think you could probably do this on a go-home show, to be perfectly honest. I don't really think it's a problem, because there's enough momentum behind the story. And again, it's WrestleMania. So are you really going to get additional buys, which that's not even a thing anymore with the network? But you really think you're going to get additional people signing up for Peacock or WWE Network internationally just for this match? Maybe, but I realistically, I think if they were going to watch WrestleMania, they were going to watch WrestleMania regardless of whether or not this match is on there or not.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about it all, Clark?
I think in regards to tonight, the move is we're going to get right up to the punchline with Jay. Like, answer it. Like, it's going to be pretty cordial while tense. And Sammy's going to say what he thinks. Jay's going to be, pretty agreeable, but at the same time, calculated. And then right before we get the answer we want to hear from Jay, Jimmy and Solo take out Sami Zayn. And Jay doesn't really get involved, but he doesn't stop it either. And I think that's the next logical step in this story when they announce it. I don't mind if it's the night before. The night of seems a bit extreme to me. Only because if you're going to announce it that early in the show, I would actually assume, given the night one structure that I'm kind of anticipating right now, there's enough on the early part of night one that adding that announcement might take away from a first or second or third match of the night. And that would be my only fear. So I would hope they get it out of the way by either the SmackDown go home or the Raw go home before Mania. That would be my personal choice if I had the pencil, right? If I got to make, as Bully Ray likes to say, if I was making the calls, I would say get it on the card Monday or Friday right before. It's fine with me.
Honestly, if I was going to take a guess, I think it's the go home Raw, because I think all the matches will be officially announced coming out of that Raw. I'd be very surprised if they save anything for that Friday. If they do save anything for that the night before, it's going to be I
think it'd be for Sunday,
like the Andre Battle Royal or a tag match. It's not going to be anything of significance. Like this is of significance. So I think it'll be the go home Raw.
That's a great call.
It'll probably close.
I agree, because I think if they announce anything Friday before, it'll be for Sunday, not Saturday. It'd be illogical to announce something just less than 24 hours before,
or even like a pre-show thing. It's not going to be any significance.
Yeah, and we got some news that I don't think we've addressed on the podcast this week. And I think Saul actually did mention it early on in the week, and that's that Sheamus said on via Twitter that the Intercontinental title match is main eventing night one. So if that is true, then I mean, our prediction that the tag match was going to main event isn't. He's wrong, which is quite kind of confusing to me.
Sportskeeda reported today that the main event of night one would be Charlotte.
Yeah, which is what I thought. Which is what I mentioned the other time.
Yeah, Sportskeeda. I'm sorry, not Kedia. Sportskeeda.
Honestly, I don't think any of them know.
Did I say it right?
I think they're all guessing. The only thing that anybody's positive of. The only match anybody's positive of where it's going on the card is Cody and Roman main eventing night two. Other than that, I think everything's up for grabs of where placement is.
It's going to depend how over things get in the next couple of weeks, because as it stands right now, I cannot see the Charlotte Rhea match getting that over to people to main event. I'm sorry, I don't think there's enough story behind it at this moment in time, to be honest. I mean, I see your reaction there, Clark. What's that about?
I agree. I was just saying that Sportskeeda reported it. I wasn't saying it was my opinion. I'm like, and then Soul jumps in the comments. You're like, I don't think there's enough story. I'm like, dude, I'm having to go at
go
at Sportskeeda, man. I didn't.
I know what these good cheats are like. They get 99% of it wrong anyway, Clark, right? We talk about it constantly. But Anthony, do you think the Charlotte match, Charlotte versus Rhea, should main event?
No. My feeling with any of these WrestleMania, since they're doing two nights, the main event of both nights should be the two best stories going into it. I don't care if it's the guys, it's the girls, it doesn't matter. The best stories go into it. So realistically, if you're going with the best story, I think it has to be the Usos, KO, and Sammy, because again, that's all part of the bloodline story, and that is the most important story in wrestling for this entire run. And so to me, that would be my choice of night one.
I 110% agree with you. I said it a couple weeks ago as well. And I think it would lead into the night two main event perfectly. But talking about the night two main event tonight on SmackDown, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes will be in attendance and he will appear live. Now, I don't think Roman Reigns is not advertised for the show tonight.
Roman will be at Raw, apparently.
Yeah, he's going to be down Raw. I went on a rant last Saturday about how the fact it wasn't on SmackDown was terrible. There's a couple weeks left. The part-time thing, I don't think, it's whatever, right? And he deserves it. But in Mania season, hell no. 2 weeks in a row, hell no. I really hope Roman makes a surprise appearance tonight, right? If he does, then, that's great. But Cody Rhodes will be there live tonight. And I mean, I don't know I don't know if he's just going to cut another promo. I don't know if he's going to get involved in the Sammy thing. I mean, that very much is a possibility. I mean, we've already talked about Soul's prediction that we're going to have a 6-man tag team match on the Raw before Mania, which I think would be fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, perhaps it's a setup that, and then Kevin comes in too. There's a few things which are possibilities. But Clark, where do you think that this segment is going to go tonight? Do you think that perhaps Roman will make a surprise appearance, or do you think they probably would have advertised it if he was there?
I really hope it's a surprise appearance. I'm starting to get a little annoyed. I was worried that they're going to shove the Dusty stuff too much in our face and it would become played out. Now, my only concern going into this match is it doesn't feel like Cody's fighting from underneath. It doesn't feel like he's overcoming anything other than Roman Reigns in a one-on-one match. It doesn't feel like there's anything ominous other than finishing the story and Roman Reigns, which has been shoved in our face for weeks, but not really even the Roman Reigns part. It's really just about the story. In my eyes, the biggest obstacle as of right this second, if I didn't know any of Roman's history or anything, if I just jumped in on this story, Cody Rhodes' biggest obstacle is his anxiety about living up to his father's legacy, not beating Roman Reigns. And that should be the case. So I hope tonight that Roman does make a surprise appearance, and I hope he beats the living hell out of Cody Rhodes. I hope he hurts him. I hope the bloodline hurts him. And make it clear that this is the underdog babyface. He's not the A side against Roman Reigns. He's not the star yet. He still hasn't won the big one. And not only that, but he's outnumbered and he's out physicaled. He's not as physically intimidating as Roman Reigns. And Roman's the bigger, stronger, probably faster athlete. And I hope that is made clear tonight. Very clear. Because I don't think it's been made clear enough in the Cody rivalry compared to some of the stuff that's happened with the bloodline and with Roman on the way up. I would argue that there's guys that shouldn't be on paper that seem to be bigger threats to dethrone Roman Reigns along the way, that seemed to be lesser threats along the way than Cody Rhodes, but it was because of Roman establishing his dominance. It was not because it feels like it's really been focused around Cody is my main, right?
Yeah,
and
no,
that's where,
I mean, Cody doesn't feel like the underdog in this match. Roman feels like the underdog.
Feels like the favorite.
I think they've been trying to make Cody not look weak.
Right.
Because presumably he's winning at Mania, and if that is the case, then they need him to carry the brand. So they don't want to make him look weak now. But I think you've got to do something to make Roman look stronger and to give, Roman the edge heading into this. And I don't really know what they could do, but they need to do something. Anthony, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I think the most likely scenario tonight is the Usos and Solo leave Sami laying. I think Cody will come out. The numbers game will play into it. I don't think Roman's going to show up. Should he show up? Yes. Will he? I don't think so. I think it's going to filter into Monday. It's entirely possible, Sami. I do think KO may run out to chase them off and I'll essentially tell Sami, I didn't do it for you. I did it for Cody because of his father. Like, I kind of have a feeling that they may go that route. I think more will evolve Monday. I don't know. Under normal circumstances, and I think I said this on here before prior to Soul saying it, I wouldn't be shocked if they did a 6-man tag with them. But knowing Roman's reduced schedule, I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think Roman's going to work a 6-man and then risk Roman getting injured going into Mania, knowing how much momentum's behind it. So I don't know. I mean, honestly, if Roman somehow did pull, at this point it's an upset over Cody, I don't know where you go after that. What do you do after that? Like, realistically, like, Cody's the guy. Like, you've already decided you're not giving it to Sami. So you're not going to have Sami go for a second bite of the apple and suddenly get it. Your opportune time to do it would have been in Canada. So realistically, Cody's the guy. So I don't know where they go if that's not the direction.
Yeah, I think perhaps you'd say at that point it would be somebody like Braun Breaker or somebody from NXT or even Jay White if he came. Because of course he's a
But
free agent
realistically,
right
it wouldn't have the impact.
Cody
Cody
should be the one. Cody absolutely should be
Yeah.
the one. I mean, Gunter is another possibility, but again, would not be as big as Cody. Cody should win it.
You hold
But
out for The Rock.
They need to give us some. They need to give us doubt in our mind about it. You know, they need to make us think. Wait, perhaps it won't happen. And currently, they've not done that. So Triple H and his booking team need to get their thoughts together and come up with an idea, a genius idea.
You know it's going to be false finishes in that match. Believe me, by the end of the night, we're going to question it by what they do in that ring.
I understand the value. Yeah, I understand the value of them not touching either before Mania, but I don't think this is a match that needs that. I would actually hope that whether it's tonight, Monday, or Friday, or Monday or Friday on the way, right? We've only got so many left. I hope at visually speaking, I would love to see Roman Reigns cut Cody in half with a spear and then actually lock in the guillotine choke and choke him unconscious in the ring. Just to show how dominant he can be. That visual, I think, would be enough just to tie up that last loose end in the story. Roman's still the head of the table. He's still the industry standard. He's still the top of the list.
Still the guy.
And I think just it doesn't have to be a big physical encounter. Just a cut in half, even if it's out of nowhere. Yeah. Cut him in half with a spear, lock up a choke, and choke him out cold. Leave him lifeless.
I agree with you. I just don't think they won't do a formal match.
Right.
But Roman is going to leave Cody laying. I
think they need to touch before this one, as opposed to other matches where I would say the anticipation of they haven't touched yet is amazing. Yeah. I think Cody's actually gotten so pushed because they weren't trying to actually shove the dusty stuff in our face, which the dusty stuff's amazing and it's a huge part of the story, but I was just afraid if they overtold that aspect, that's when it can get corny, right? And they've done a great job of not doing that to this point. Yeah, the only place I think they've run into trouble is he doesn't look like the underdog. He looks like he's going to win. He looks like the favorite right now. Absolutely. Roman looks to be in trouble.
And to be honest, that's the reason why I do the angle tonight on SmackDown, because I think tonight Roman Reigns making this shock appearance and taking him out and surprising Cody, I think would maybe make the next 2 weeks a little bit more interesting heading into Mania.
I think so too.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot that's going to happen on tonight's episode of SmackDown. There's question marks. Will Roman Reigns show up? What will happen between Jay and Sami? And of course, will the Scotsman or the Irishman win, or will it be a draw, presumably a draw, on St. Patrick's Day? But yeah, that's almost bringing us to the close of today's episode. We'll be back here tomorrow. Stay tuned to the Instagram story, though, tomorrow, because there will be a time change on when we'll be doing the podcast, which we need to finalize. But we'll be getting that sorted. If you guys should keep tuned to the Instagram, to the Wrestling Public Instagram story, or I mean, we also do schedule them on YouTube. So if you check throughout the day, you can see on there. But yeah, if you want to see it as the announcement comes out, turn on notifications for our stories. But yeah, very, very quick thing for me. I know I said every episode, guys, but leaving a thumbs up and a comment on our videos really, really does help us. Share them as well. We've been putting in this grind every single day, and we're going to continue to do so. But yeah, just giving us a little thumbs up. It really, really does help. Tomorrow we'll be back, and we're going to be talking SmackDown. Maybe we'll give you some UFC predictions as well, like we did last time.
Definitely.
Very, very quickly on that. And then Sunday, it's going to be a Thunderdome pub quiz. So yeah, make sure you guys tune into that one. It's going to be an absolutely brilliant episode. But thank you everybody for watching, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.